Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Summer here to talk about lesson 202, ionic compounds, writing the formula to name. The goal of this lesson is to write the chemical formula for ionic compounds given the name. If you recall from the last lesson, ionic compounds or ions, cations and anions that are held together by electrostatic attraction. And remember, cations are metals, anions are nonmetals. And it involves the transfer of electrons. So ionic bonds, electrostatic attraction between two ions. So here's sodium ion and chlorine ion. When you write the chemical formulas, the subscript shows the number of atoms in the compound. So for example, Al2S3, there are 2 aluminums and there are 3 sulfurs. It is a ratio of atoms. Subscripts in ionic compounds are reduced when needed. So for example, Ca2O2, it is reduced to CaO. You'll never use the number 1 as a subscript. It's implied. Just like in math, we don't write 1x, we just write x because that 1 is implied. Same for with K2O, we don't need to write K2O1 because that 1 is implied. So how to write the name of ionic compounds when given the formula. So rule number 1, and you should write this down in your notes so you have it, is that the cation goes first in the name and the formula. The name of the cation is the same as the neutral element from which it is derived. So for sodium, we just write sodium. We change nothing about it. But if it is a variable, if it's a variable charged ion, write the Roman numeral of the charge after the cation. So rule number 2, anion goes second with the ending-ide. The anion is named by adding the suffix-ide to the root of the element name. So instead of iodine, we change the "-ine" ending to "-ide". And your Roman numerals right here are just a reminder of what each Roman numeral represents. So affixed versus variable charges. Make sure you have these charges written on your periodic table. These are always fixed. So group 1 always has a +1 charge. Group 2, a +2 charge. Over here, they have a +3 charge. And then nitrogen's group -3, oxygen's group -2, fluorine's group -1, and the noble gases is 0. The transition metals, right in here, have a variable charges for some of them. So a fixed charged, elements that always have the same charge, and variable charge ions are elements that have a different charge depending on what it bonds with. So I want you to start breaking this down, practice breaking this down, and we're going to look at it in pieces. So what is the cation? The cation is the first symbol in the formula. So for this example, magnesium is our cation. And remember, we don't change anything about its name, we just write its name. Number 2, the anion goes second with the ending-ide. So the anion is named by adding the suffix-ide to the root of the element name. So in this case, this is our anion, and it's chlorine, but we change the ending to chloride. And so the full name of this compound is magnesium chloride. So here's an example where we have a variable charged cation. So the cation goes first in the name of the formula. So we have our cation here, but we don't know what its charge is because it can have more than one charge. So we need to identify it by writing the Roman numeral. So how do we figure that out? How to figure out the Roman numeral? So the overall charge of an ionic compound must be 0. So the cation charge is equal to the anion charge overall. So here, chlorine has a charge of -1, but there are 2 chlorines. So the overall negative charge is -2. So therefore, the iron has to be a +2 charge, and we use the Roman numeral 2. So I'm going to write my cation is iron, and then the Roman numeral 2 for my cation. For the anion goes second with the ending-ide. So we have chloride. And so the final name of this element, or this compound, is iron 2 chloride.